Alright, so we got everything together now. I found another issue right up in here. There's a little piece of plastic top that probably went to a universal piece to all different carburetors that I had nip off. It was actually hitting the bottom of the air cleaner box here that was causing the choke nut to close all the way. So that could have been part of the issues I was having too. Probably would have ran just fine otherwise. So anyway, let's get back to getting this thing running. Alright, basically, I pulled the idle out till the throttle started to drop down to a point that it's going to stall, or close to it. And then this is your air fuel mix off the bat. And basically I just turn that in until it starts to idle really rough, or starts to lose idle, and then I back it out about a quarter turn. And that seemed to got it about where it needs to be. It's not popping anymore, and it should be about right for that motor. So I think this one is done. We're going to change out the deck belt, and I'll put a video on that too. Matter of fact, I'll probably include it in this video also. And we will go from there. I'll see y'all in a minute once I go get a new belt for this. Alright, let's go ahead and drain the oil. With these kind of mowers, most mowers, they kind of have a level drain on them. So I usually park on wooden blocks on one side, and forces the oil to go to the other side. Briggs & Stratton, those are oddball drain placements. Not a big fan of this style. Basically, it just comes right out of there. I mean, a lot of them, what a lot of people do, I've noticed, the mowers I got, they'll put a piece of NPT pipe in there so it extends out a little bit further. These little containers right here, this little Gojo container right here, I just have my wipes in there. I keep them because they come in handy for these little jobs. Oop, too much for extension. But this just takes a simple 3/8 in there. Don't crank them down too hard. Well, come on here. And just get ready. Hang on. hopefully nobody ever cross-threaded this, because that seems to happen more often than it should for something so simple. There it goes. Yeah, the oil doesn't look too bad. These motors don't have oil filters on them, so it's important to change the oil at least every year. You have an oil filter, obviously, but I mean, still, these machines don't see a lot of use, and the oil in them does get open up the cap there, let it flow a little bit faster. There we go. Oil. There we go. Got a little bit of oil getting past there. That's pretty much it right there. These motors usually take either 30 weight or 10W30. You don't have to get too crazy with them. Make sure you put it back on level ground before you put oil on it, obviously. Otherwise, you're going to create a problem for yourself. And obviously, dispose of your oil correctly. Don't be an idiot. Don't be one of those people that tries to bury their oil. Honestly, don't know a place anymore that doesn't have free oil disposal. Most parts stores carry them, at least in this area. And I work for a company that has it, and since I work on heavy construction equipment, we actually have a whole disposal service that we're allowed to use our oil, because when we're only changing our cars, we're talking about maybe 5 to or 3 to 7 quarts on most vehicles on average, from my experience. I fill vehicles that take 25 gallons of oil, so we're talking like maybe a gallon or so out of some of these machines. Some of the vehicles, and a quart is not a big deal, so our company encourages us to use their oil disposal service if we need to. Make sure you don't kick over your oil container. Everybody does it once. Some people do it more than once. Yeah, most of these motors are higher. Most of these motors take about a quart, anywhere from like yeah, basically a quart or so. But start out with half of what you think you need. You'd be surprised how often that's all you really need. We're going to put 10W30 in there. It's a common oil. There you go. Matter of fact, I got to change the oil on my other mower too. And I grabbed a filter for that one because the newer Kohler ones come with oil filters on there. You've seen oil how to do that. So nothing much of a surprise there. Let's see. A little bit more will be half. Alright, well, more like 2/3 of a quart. Yep, that's one thing I hate about these tube types. There's oil on all sides of it. so it's hard to get a good solid reading where you're supposed to be at. There we are. We're just below the dot there, so probably a little bit more oil. But as I was saying, it's important to change your oil at least once a year, depending on how you're using it. Most people are not going to hit the hour marks. Most what do you call it? It's landscapers, they'll do every 100 hours, and they're running their machines 10, 12 hours a day, so they're usually doing at least every 2 to 3 weeks a lot of times. Most good ones will. Alright, that's right at the bottom of the fill line, so just a little bit more. Get brave here. And it's probably going to take the full quart, I think. Looks like it. Yep, that's going to take the full quart, so it's a full quart motor. I've had a couple of them in the past, it's like a half a quart. And then I've had some that are a quart and a half. I guess it depends. I think the Intex are a quart and a half. The Intex series of razor shaft motors. And I've had some Kohler motors that are odd too. Oh no, that's still a... We're going to add some more oil to that. They're still low. I may have been wrong. Honestly, you don't have to get too fancy with what kind of oil you use. To tell you the truth, oil. I won't say oil is oil, but all oil manufacturers have to meet a minimum standard. So you're not going to have poor oil. You're going to have basically most oil doing the same thing. Now you're talking about synthetics and everything like that. That's a little different. There we go. Halfway through the line, maybe a little bit more oil. I'm going to grab another quart, I think. A little bit more. Quart and a half motor, maybe. That's what I'm thinking, a quart and a half motor. Yeah, definitely a quart and a half motor. So I'll have to write that down well, I'm not going to keep this motor, but I'll write it down someplace for whoever buys it next. Nice thing about these mowers, most people that buy them are going to take good care of them. People that don't care of them seem to buy them brand new. The snapper I had last time, it was a great example of that. It stopped running, guy didn't want to know. Never changed the blade or belts on it. The belts were completely worn thin. The blade was rounded over. And what he do? He went and bought another mower. And that's what some people do every time. Instead of just trying to fix stuff and saving money, you just spend it. Alright, so we have the oil on there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the hood back on. And those in the background would be the cat coffin. This one most newer hoods are designed to lift off. This one is got nuts and bolts. It focuses on that. Let me figure out what we need. kind of suck the bolt on hoods back on there, because if you don't have a second pair of hands, that's where problems come in. One side, we'll get the nut started on there. Try to be careful, not bend the hood too much, because you're not going to find new ones. Two. There we go. And make sure it opens and closes still. These got shoulder nuts that prevent you from over tightening the nail, so you can't move them. And they got capture nuts on there. Alright. Make sure the hood still operates. Alright, let me go get my grease gun and we'll hit the grease points, lift up the back end, and we'll start working on the belt. Alright, this is the hard part right here. This mower has a setting for dropping the deck all the way to the ground, and that's where this comes in handy. The drive belt, which you can kind of see up there, we get some light up there. It looks like it's brand new. It looks like somebody's replaced it at some point, which is nice. But there we go. This belt is pretty much shot. It probably will keep going, but when you get into taller grass, it's gonna do a slip basically, and you're gonna get squealing noises and such like that. Alright, let's see if we can get this new belt on. Line it up with your old belt. Make sure you got reasonably close. Yeah. Alright. Time for the fun. Trying to get these belts back on after you get them off. We'll start over on the other side here. Now there's a possibility I might have to take this belt back off again, just because when I got it, they are out of the actual brand belts for it, and they had universal sizes. And I generally try to avoid that. But sometimes you don't get a choice of what you buy. You have to. Most mowers will come with a diagram so you don't get messed up, because it's pretty easy to do. There we go. Alright. These older ones are either overly complicated or stupidly overcomplicated. I had a John Deere, which I know, yeah, I already said before how much I hate John Deeres. That was one of the most impossible mowers. Pick up the letter 3. And then we'll engage this blade belt. There we go. And yep, that feels pretty good. If we need to, we can always adjust this spring in the back. That's a tensioner right there, if we need to, but that feels pretty good. Oh, heck. Alright, this belt's supposed to be on the inside of this. So let's loosen it back up. Drop it back down, because it will not function like that. There we go. Did I screw it up again or what? And this is your blade brake right here. Yeah, it feels like the pad's completely worn out on it. Nope. Make sure you don't engage it until you got it into a regular level. Alright. And there's the pad right there. You can see it's pretty well worn. It's meant to stop the blade from rotating. Now the belt look good. It's not bind. Make sure you're not binding on anything when you pull on it. You don't want it super tight or it'll burn up the belt, but you don't want it super loose because that will cause the belt to slip and burn up too. Aside from that, everything looks pretty good. This is your deck leveler. There should be one on the other side also. This is there's settings for this deck to set at that you can readjust so you can get the so if you run it on a real low setting, you make sure your deck's low. But if you run it on the, if you've set it up for the lowest setting and you try cutting on high, it's going to cut uneven. So it's important to make sure your deck is level. Most mowers have that. A lot of actually newer mowers have a auto leveling system built into there now. So it's not as much a concern on newer mowers as much as older mowers. That was a thing. But generally, if you got a cut depth that you like, you're not going to come off it. So once you got it adjusted, you're usually pretty good to go. Alright, so we got a running mower, changed oil. The last thing we have left to do at this point is mow some grass before I go put it up for sale. So I think this will be the last video here. I've already greased it up. Oh, to show you the greasing, these older mowers are nice for that feature too. This one, if I can get a good shot on it, has a greasable spindle. I've already greased this side and the other side. Most replacement spindles will actually come with grease fittings on them. Sometimes they don't. The newer ones don't seem to be doing that anymore. But it's a good way to make sure you extend the life of your parts of your mower. So that should be something you do every year too. I've already greased the wheels, greased the spindles. That'll make everything easier to move. The transaxle on here is usually, last time I pulled one of these apart, but I never put it back together, is packed full of grease, like a kind of a thin grease, I guess you say, but it's a grease nonetheless. The transaxle on the Husqvarna, the orange mower I own, that oil does need to change because that motor's got over 400 hours, and I think that oil is supposed to be changed every 250 hours, so I know it's overdone. Alright, sorry, as I was saying, before I accidentally forgot that, unload my memory card there. The Husqvarna's up next. The transaxle's got a hydro drive, just got to come out. And the drain nose and refill them is a pain. And I'll make a video on it. Rebuilt one of them once before a long time ago. I don't want to have to do that again. It's not a fun job. You can get the parts, and the parts are not, well, at least then they were not expensive. And if you try calling the manufacturer, they're not very helpful. So we'll see where we go next on these videos. So I might hang on to this mower just a little while longer. I'm going to cut my grass tomorrow with it. Maybe make a back epilogue to this video saying how it runs. And then from there, if it does the job and it does it well, I'm either going to keep it for a little while till my other mower's back up and running, in case something goes wrong. At least I'm not giving up one mower. Or I might just put it up for sale and just get her going. Like I said, you saw it a little bit earlier in that video. It fires right up now that the valves are adjusted. Carburetor is set about as well as it's going to be for a universal carburetor. And from there, I can't really think of anything else. Belt looks like it engages real well. Matter of fact, let's disengage it. Make sure the belt's nice and loose. So if your belt's on there too tight, if it disengages, it may rub up against the crank pulley here and burn up the belt too. So you don't want to too loose, you don't want too wide. And usually what happens is, I almost forgot, as I missed on the belt here. The belt was for this it's an 88 1/4 inch long. This one's an 88 inch long, and the next size up was 89 inch long. Go with the closer number. Hope it works. If not, you can always bring the belt back if you don't damage it or dirty it up. In most places will take it without a question. Tires are still holding air great, which means the tires are good. I do have to put a tube in the other mower's front tire because it loses air within a day now. This is a motorcycle lift that I use for these mowers to help get the back end off the ground. It works really well. The stands grip right into here, and it does the job that I need to do. Let's put her back down. Like I said, these are the strap there. Anyways, let's call it that, and we'll see how it runs. Probably maybe tomorrow I'll mow it along. Yeah, I guess we could. It should run just fine. If it runs just fine, it means it's ready to go. Because I'm not going to sell something that may be a liability to to somebody and make somebody angry. I like to take pride in what I do. Anyways, we'll see y'all out there.